This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel Strat-O-Matic Baseball EXCEL Game of the Week.
Welcome back, baseball fans, to the Game of the Week. In the 1978-81 Fall League, we got a game between the Phillies and the Marlins. This is the final series before the Fall League season ends and we get to the playoffs. And there is a lot tremendous on the line at this moment, believe it or not, between the Phillies and the Marlins. Let's show you what's happened thus far. In game number one, series opens up in Philadelphia. Rick Wise, former Philly, versus Larry Christensen. And in the first, Mike Schmidt with an RBI single, having a great year. Marlins get a sac fly in the third to tie it. Then in the fourth, they start to unload, do the Marlins, on Mr. Christensen. Singles, a walk, a double, an error on Christensen, two more singles, and it's 6-1. Then in the fifth inning, three singles, a K and a single, and that's an 8-1 knockout punch of Larry Christensen. Well, that's a shocker. Do the Phillies have a rally in them? Well, they kind of do. In the sixth inning, they do bat around, score three times on three singles, force five singles and a walk. They score three times, but they leave the bases loaded. Then in the seventh, an RBI single by Gross, and it's an 8-5 game, and it stays 8-5. The Marlins with an upset, as the Atlanta Braves are watching intently, wondering if they win the division or not. The Phillies have to win 3 out of 4, and the Marlins win game number one, and the Phillies are in deep trouble. They need to win 3 straight. Marlins would need to win 3 straight as well. If the series goes 5 games, Atlanta clinches. So, the box net 1019, 0109, 815, 510, 2764. 17 men on base for the Marlins, and they have a heck of an offense, folks. You know who the Phillies are. The 78-81 Phillies. In a good year, 80 or 81 or 78, but this has not been a good year. This has been a very mediocre year, so we think this is 1979 for lack of intents and purposes. Plus, the Pittsburgh Pirates are playing great. So, that is game one. By the way, you're probably wondering, where's Steve Carlton? Well, he pitched the last game of the series against Atlanta, so he has to wait till game 4. So, with that feather in your hat, let's go to game 2. In the city of brotherly love. Can they even this thing up, or is their season going to cry and moan and whatnot? Dennis Lamp for the Marlins, Tom Underwood for the Phillies, and now we have like a pitcher's duel early. We get a sac fly here, and then a ground ball here, and it's 1-1. In the fifth inning, a Lonnie Smith triple and a sac fly, and it's 2-1. The Phillies, very uncomfortable with Underwood, decide to pull him after 5 innings and a batter and go to a right-handed pitcher against this Marlin team that really crushes lefties. And they do a great job, does the bullpen. Rick Williams, Don Ossie, and McGraw to get the save. It's all a moot point because in the 7th inning, Dennis Lamp loses control, walks 2 guys, gives up a triple, and they beat up on Vern Rule. Vern Rule coming out of the Marlin bullpen. 6 runs in the 7th and 8th inning combined, and it's a laugher for the Phillies. 8-2. A little sad. They got the win. They did it rather easily, but they have to feel disappointed they lost game 1 as they get on that plane flying down to Cuba or Florida knowing they have to win both games or they're not going to the playoffs. They never thought they'd be in this situation. So let's see what happened in game number 3 on the road in Florida. It is going to be free agent pitcher Roger Erickson for the Phillies against Dan Schatzeder, a lefty starter who gives up homers to left-handed batters, and that comes into play early. Top of the first, we get an RBI double by Lonnie Smith, a double play by Schmidt scoring a run, no RBI. Bottom of the inning, Willie Montanez, another former Philly. 3-run homer, it's 3-2. Then back at the top, Dan Meyer, left-handed batter, hitting a homer off the lefty shot setter. Tied at 4. Bottom of the inning, Lyman Bostock, RBI single. Marlins retake the lead. 4th inning, Phillies retake the lead. It is a 2-run triple by Bob Boone. Then in the 5th inning, Marlins are going to regret this. An error by the normally reliable Montanez. An error by somewhat reliable Richie Hebner, another former Philly. And then a 3-run homer by, you guessed it, Dan Meyer. A nice little free agent acquisition. A lefty who hits lefties rather well. They have 8 runs here, and of course, you know, these plucky Marlins are going to come back. Erickson's gone by the end of the 6th inning after a double-double and a single. Roy Thomas pitches 2 innings, but it gives up a solo homer to Hal McRae. The Phillies are beating up on Don Hood and Neil Allen in the 7th and 8th innings. Boy, there's no pitching in this series, folks. There really is not. These offenses are just unloading and teeing off on these guys. 15 hits for the Phillies today. 18 wasted hits for the Marlins today. It's an 11-7 game. Tug McGraw's brought in to close this thing out. In typical Tug McGraw fashion. A walk, a single, a double play, 2 more singles, and a strikeout. So he does get the save, though it was rather rocky. And the Phillies have won 2 of the first 3 games, which means it is a game 4. Have to win this one. And they finally get their guy on the mound for the Phillies. Your 1980 Steve Carlton in the game to potentially put his team in the playoffs. 24-9, 234, won the World Series in 304 innings. And we're about to find out if this is the 1979 Phillies or the 1980 Phillies. Because if they lose this game, we'll say it's the former. For the Marlins, their number 4 starter, but a pretty good one. David Palmer, 1980 Montreal Expo. One of the many right-handers they had. They couldn't keep them all. They had Bill Gullickson, Scott Sanderson, Steve Rogers, David Palmer. Yeah, couldn't keep all those guys. So the Marlins get him 8-6 with a 2.98 ERA in 130 innings. Steve Carlton, David Palmer, the one team that feels confident against Steve Carlton is the Marlins because they destroy left-handed pitching. I won't say anything nicer than that. It's destroy, conquer, crush, crumble, and chomp. We'll show you cards as they come up. So Carlton's got his work. He's got his work cut out for him and whatnot. Let's get started from Little Cuba. The Phillies Marlins. Leading off for the Phillies will be Lonnie Smith. 5'11" is a strikeout. Rob Wilfong. 48, skies to center. And with 2 outs, Lazinski. 4-10, skies to center. 3 up and 3 down. All right, the Marlins have only 1 left-handed batter in this lineup, which is interesting because Carlton only faced 15% left-handed batters anyway. The league knew not to step in that side of the batter's box. So mostly right-handed lineup. And leading off, future Philly, Ivan DeJesus would play for them in the World Series year of 83, I believe. 39 is a walk. Did not want to do that because batting second is Jeff, 1 flap down Leonard. He's got another nickname. I'm not sure I'm going to use that one. We'll just stick with 1 flap down. You can find the other nickname on Baseball Reference, I believe. Anyway, let's take a look at the Jeff Leonard card of 1981. 290 in only 145 at-bats. Dude had 4 triples, and they were all against lefties, and Strat-O-Matic has this way of overcompensating for that to make sure you get them all. With triples in the roll of 7 on every column, plus a 12 chance on 8. Good luck, lefty. The pitch to Jeffrey Leonard. 2-7 on cue. It is one of those triples, and oh boy, this could be a long day. It's 1-0. Leonard's at third, and it's Willie Montanez. Let's take a look at Willie. He actually split time with the Rangers in 79, hitting .319 with this card. Hits lefties better than righties. Oh my goodness. But Carlton needs to get this guy out on his card. The pitch to Montanez. 56 is a strikeout. That's a big out. Now you have Guerrero. Let's take a look at Pedro Guerrero's rookie card in 1980. Took him a while. Well, I guess he was drafted really young, like in 73. Made his debut in 1980. I don't know how old he would have been, 25? But anyway, had an incredible career. But this is the rookie card. 1980, Pedro Guerrero, 322 and 183 at-bats. Destroys, like I said, folks, destroys left-handed pitching, can play everywhere. And here is the pitch to Pedro Guerrero. 1-5, left B question mark. Leonard will try and tag up. 16, 17, 18 against Luzinski's arm, and he scores. 2-0 with 2 outs. And it's Bo Diaz, and we might as well get the cards out of the way early today, folks. Bo freaking Diaz, 1981, 182 at-bats. You're seeing a trend here with the Marlins. None of these guys played a full season. 182 at-bats, hit .313, but yeah, in that 2 column, you don't see any singles, do you? Just doubles and homers and more doubles and more doubles and more doubles. And if that's not it, it's going to hit a double. So here's the pitch to Bo Diaz. 1-9, grounds to third. So lefty has been introduced to this Marlin offense in a potential elimination game. Surrenders 2, and it's up for the Philly Bats to respond in vengeance. And leading off in the top of the second is Mike Schmidt. And let's take a look at the leader in the clubhouse for the MVP vote, the 1981 Mike Schmidt card in a full season. 31 homers in the year of the strike, which probably would have been 45 or 50 if they did not have one. Yeah, just ridiculous card. Yeah, 31 homers, 316, 73 walks, 354 at-bats. And he's a bee stealer, in case you need that as well. So, the pitch to Mike Schmidt. 68 off of Palmer, single 118 and gets it. I think that's all the flashy cards for now. Let's try and get into the game a little bit. Bate McBride. 1-9 will be a single to right field. Schmidt will not get thrown out on the bases against the nice zero-arm Guerrero. He won't get thrown out down 2 runs. Gary Maddox. 43 off Palmer's pitcher X. He's an E22. And that is an error, and the bases are loaded. The bases are loaded for Dan Meyer, the guy who had 2 home runs in Game 3. The pitch to Dan Meyer. 56 is a strikeout. Now I got to bring the infield up for A. Bunting, Larry Boa. 1-9, let's take a look at Boa's card. 1978, he led the Phillies in hitting with a .294 batting average. 678 plate appearances. Your typical Gold Glove, AAB, 1-17 runner. And a big hit here, base hit to left field. McBride is a 16 runner against Alou. Will run on a, he's got a terrible arm, and he will score off the plus arm of 4 of Alou. So a terrible defense for the Marlins, and that's a 2-run single. Maddox goes to third on the terrible throw. Runners in the corners, 1 out. Bob Boone, the infield, will come up. For 12, pitcher B. Gun down at the plate with the infield up. Tough break there. Maddox is thrown out the plate. Boa goes to second. Boone's at first with 2 outs, and it's Lonnie Smith. 37, let's take a look at Lonnie Smith's card of 1980. My gosh, folks, no wonder these teams are scoring, crooked number runs every game of this series. 1980, Lonnie Smith in half a season at .339. Would get a ring. I don't know exactly how or why he ended up on the Cardinals a couple years later, but that did happen, for better or for worse. I wonder if Lonnie Smith would have been a Philly in the 1983 World Series, if that would have helped them against Baltimore or not. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Lonnie Smith, single ... That is a 2-run single, I believe. No, actually, it's just a 1-run single. That's right, it was first and second. Boa scores. Yeah, Boone goes to third. Runners on the corners in a 3-2 game, and it's Rob Wilfong. 2-12 rolls to the pitcher. So the Phillies do respond, and now it's up to Steve Carlton to figure this thing out. Bottom of the lineup, a lot easier. You got Hal McRae leading off, 67. Single 1 to 11 off of Carlton, gets it. JLU, same roll, 67. Single 1 to 11, also gets it. This is not what you want at the bottom of the lineup if you're lefty. Now you got Jerry Terrell up. 66 off of Carlton. Double 1 to 2, single ... This is not the day you want out of the 1980 Cy Young Award winner if you're trying to go to the playoffs. Minor disaster in progress here. About to turn into a major disaster when we get to the top of the lineup. But anyway, runners on the corners with nobody out. And it's Ted Sizemore. Terrell's a beast stealer, so you have to hold him anyway. So you'll go up and hold. Ted Sizemore, 49. Sac fly to left field. His runs just keep trickling in here. And the Marlins retake the lead 4-3. Terrell at first with 1 out. And it's Ivan DeJesus. 47's a K. And with 2 outs, Jeff Leonard looking for another triple. 49, he flies to left. So, Marlins get a lead, and then they get another lead. It's 4-3 in the third. This game might take us a while, folks. Greg Luzinski leads off in the third inning. 66 off Palmer's a single. And here is Mike Schmidt. 4-10, center B. Bake McBride. 111 is a 6-4-3 double play. Bottom of the third, Willie Montanez. 57, Carlton. Single 1 to 12 off the Carlton card, he gets it. And the only lefty in the lineup gets a hit off the Carlton card. And that is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits and 4 runs. Guerrero, 67, off the Carlton card. Single 1 to 11, gets it. 2 on, it's Bo Diaz. 68, off the Carlton card, he walks. If Steve Carlton could just pitch, Phillies might have a chance, but he's terrible. And on the verge of being yanked out of the biggest game of the Phillies season, as, again, the bases are loaded. We're getting to the bottom of the lineup, though, so you just got to stick with this guy. If you want to pull the guy early for breaking in point of weakness, you need 10 hits through 3, or 8 hits and 4 walks. Is one of the rules I use, or sometimes it's just my judgment. But anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2 walks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he would need 2 and 2, 2 hits and 2 walks to get him out of here. Hal McRae. I think you got to play it back. A double play is more important than, yeah, you got to play it back for Hal McRae. 1-6, center B question mark. Now, you have Gary Maddox in center. There's a -2 arm. William Montanez, an 11 runner. He will not tag up. Now it's JLU. Again, a lot of double plays on his cards. You're going to play back. 37, left B question mark. Now, Montanez would run against Luzinski. Luzinski with a 0 arm. Not as good as Maddox. So, Montanez will tag up. And he scores on a 13. He needed a 13 or better, and he got it. He's an 11 runner. +2 for tagging up makes it 13. Luzinski with a 0 arm. Close play at the plate, but Mr. Montanez is safe. Another former Philly hurting the Phillies today. So 2 on, 2 outs in a 5-3 game, and it's Jerry Terrell. 1-7 is a grounder to the third. Innings over. 5-3 game. David Palmer in the fourth. It'll be Gary Maddox. 52 rolls the mound. Dan Meyer, 68 off the Palmer card, 1/14, gets it. B Steeler. Diaz -2 arm. Boone -3 arm. Don't expect a lot of base stealing. And why would you steal bases? You're just getting 2 or 3 hits every damn inning. Boa will swing away. 2-8, lines a second. And with 2 outs, it's Bob Boone. 49, flies to left. Bottom of the fourth, Ted Sizemore. 3-12, let's take a look at this guy's card because he hit it. is the only reason. Sizemore, gosh, I want to say he was a former Philly too. Was he not? In 76, maybe? I think Sizemore played for the Phillies, yeah. But 312 here against the lefty. He played for the Red Sox in 79 with this card at 261 and 88 at-bats. 312 is a double for the second baseman, who can actually, it's kind of funny, he can catch in a pinch, which is really silly, but it's on his card. A double. Now you got the Jesus. 1-7 is a K. And now Murderer's Row. It's Jeff Leonard. 112, short A. And with 2 outs, trying to not give up a run for the first time, Willie Montanez. 34, grounds to first. So Carlton figures something out finally. It stays 5-3. We go to the 5th. Lonnie Smith. 1-6 is a K. Rob Wilfong. 1-6 is triple 1-9. Single for the B Steeler. Now it's Greg Lazinski. 3-6, let's take a look at the Bull. Greg Lazinski's card of 1978. 265, 35 homers, 100 walks. But that homer, none bigger. And the Phillies have tied the game at 5. 5-5. 1 out. Palmer could have qualified for a win. Now he's trying to stay off the hook for a loss here. Mike Schmidt. 47 is a K. And with 2 outs, it's Bate McBride. 210 pitcher. Neither pitcher particularly effective, but neither have pitched horribly enough to be at point of weakness. Though Carlton was almost on the ropes here in the 3rd, but he had recovered in the 4th. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Okay. It'll be Pedro Guerrero. 58 off Carlton's a K. Bo Diaz. 47's a K, and with 2 outs, it's Hal McRae. 57's a K, and Carlton's retired 6 straight. We go to the 6th inning of a 5-5 thriller with playoff implications abounding. David Palmer's a starter 7. Carlton's a starter 8. I don't expect Carlton to go 9 innings against these killers here, but we'll see. Gary Maddox. 2-9 is a base hit. A Steeler. Dan Meyer. He might try a hit and run. I think he will. He's going to do a hit and run. And it's going to be a fielder's choice. That didn't work. He's a B Steeler, though. Let's let Boa do a hit and run. Let's keep rolling with this thing. And we get the hit and run single the second time. So there's the single on the 5 for Boa. So Meyer's at 3rd. Boa's at 1st. There's 1 out. The infield will come up for Bob Boone with runners on the corners. The pitch to Bob Boone. 2-7, single 1-6 on his card. Cannot get it. Rolls a 13. And with 2 outs, the ridiculous Lonnie Smith card. Trying to give the Phillies their first lead of the game. The pitch. Or second lead of the game. The pitch. 2-7, Lonnie Smith with a base hit in the center field. Scoring Meyer. Boa will not make the final out at 3rd base, though he's a great base runner. But you do have Jeff Leonard has a nice arm in center field. It's a -2 arm. There's no reason to get thrown out 3rd. He just took the lead. And Wilfong's come up with 1st and 2nd and 2 outs. The pitch to Rob Wilfong. 2-6. Let's take a look at this guy. Rob Wilfong's best offensive year in 1979. He was a Twin. And the Phillies went out and got him as the Twins had Bob Randall and John Castino. And this is like the outlier year for Wilfong. He's mostly got 260 hitter in his career. Great bunter, great glove. Hit .313. 438 plate appearances, 9 homers in the year of 79. Good defense, a B Steeler, 1-14 runner, all sorts of good stuff. 2-6 is the single ... and the Phils increase their lead. And now we got to look at what are we going to do with Palmer here now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, I think it's time to pull this guy early. I know when you say early, he's giving up 7 runs, but this game could go all night. With the Marlins getting last bats in the bottom of the ninth. But Palmer's going to be pulled after 5 2/3 because he gives up a lot of homers to right-handed batters, and you got Luzinski and Schmidt coming up. So I'm going to go to Vern Rule. Much tougher against righties with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, just to keep it a 2-run game for the Marlins if possible. So Vern Rule comes on in the 6th. Lonnie Smith's at 3rd. Wilfong's at 1st. And Luzinski is your batter. Big 2-run home run in the 5th. Can he keep it going in the 6th? The pitch to Greg Luzinski. 39 is ball 4, and here is your moment, folks. Your current sitting in the catbird seat of National League Most Valuable Player, and there have been some great performances this year. Willie Stargell is kind of co-favorite with Mike Schmidt to win the award. American League, we have Reggie Jackson and George Brett duking it out, but Mike Schmidt has got the bases loaded in the 6th inning and 2 outs. He's 1 for 3 with a run scored today. A chance to increase his MVP stature with lefty on the mound. The pitch to Mike Schmidt. 56 off Rule is a fly ball to left field. Oh boy. That's not what the Phillies wanted. They only got a couple out of that. Put 5 men on base. Only scored twice. And again, lefty. He's looking good. He should be good in this inning. He's got the bottom half. Alou leads off. 67, but single 111 off of Carlton, and they get it again. And they've hit it every one. Every chance has been hit. Tie run, Jerry Terrell. 6-11, first X. Now defense at first. Meyer 3-16. That's pretty mediocre. And that is a single ... And here you go. You put the tying runs on, and at the bottom of the lineup. And now you got Sizemore, who has a double and a sac fly in this game. They're going to play back with a 2-run lead. 37 is a 5-4-3 double play. Well, that's a break. They get the 5-4-3 double play. The run does score, and it's 7-6. And with 2 outs, it's Ivan DeJesus. 3-11 pops to 3rd. Well, 7-6. Into the 7th we go. Rule will continue because he's a relief 3, but he's not really good against lefties, and he has got to face 3 of them in this inning, which is unfortunate. But here we go. Bake McBride will lead off. 48 gets a base hit. Gary Maddox. 44, double 1 to 17 is a double. Now what do? You got lefty Meyer, switch hitting Boa, then the righty Boone, and righties after that. 2nd and 3rd, A bunting Dan Meyer, A bunting Boa, and they're both left-handers. And I think you got to pull them. I know we could run out of pitchers in this game. I have a weird feeling this thing might go extra. I'm going to run out of pitchers. But anyway, we're going to pull Rule because Don Hood will come in, and as a lefty, he's good against these switch hitters and righties. So Don Hood comes in the 7th inning. Let's take a look at Don Hood. 4-1 with 3.24 ERA with the Yankees in '79. Yankees didn't need the lefty in the bullpen because they had Dave Righetti. So Don Hood comes on in the 7th. 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. Infield's up. Dan Meyer's your batter. A bunter. The pitch to Dan Meyer. 4-11 off of Hood is first C, but they had the infield up, so the guys stay put. Now you have Boa having a nice day. He's 2 for 3. He's got a 2-run single there and a run-scoring single in the 6th. All right. Scored a run with a single in the 6th. The pitch to Larry Boa. 2-12 pops to 3rd, and with 2 outs. This is looking big, folks. Bases loaded here. 2nd and 3rd here. Now you got Bob Boone with Lonnie Smith on deck. And they're going to pitch to Boone. They don't want nothing to do with Lonnie Smith. The pitch to Bob Boone. 38 is a liner to second base. Oh boy, Phillies putting a lot of pressure on lefty. And here they come, folks. Leonard, Montanez, Guerrero, and Diaz in the bottom of the 7th. Stretch time here in Florida. Down 7-6, but they're feeling confident, folks. They're feeling very confident. We were enjoying Ilya Ochoa. This is former, of course, the Buena Vista Social Club Afro-Cubism guitarist. We'll throw in some music for these Marlins to get excited about. In the bottom of the 7th, Steve Carlton, to this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 hits and 6 runs. And he's pitching on reputation. I guess you could say a lefty comes up with this inning, Montanez, so that's the reason you leave him in there. To make matters worse, their closer is Tug McGraw, so he would go through the same gauntlet. This is not a good matchup for the Phillies, but they played so poorly earlier this year that they didn't want to get in this situation. 7-6 game, bottom of the 7th, leading off Jeff Leonard, 1 for 3 with a triple. 67, 111 off of Carlton's card for the 5th time, and he hits it every time, just peppering Carlton's card. And this is a team with plenty of hits on their own cards, but Carlton is supplying them with more. That's your tie run. And now you got Willie Montanez, former Philly, will love to screw the Philly season up. The pitch to Montanez. 45, second X. Now you got Will Fong's a 2E20. Great defense here for a double play. You plug in the 2, E20, and it's a GBA. Tough break for Montanez. And with 2 outs, it's Pedro Guerrero. 110, grounds to short. Now, looking at the landscape, only Bo Diaz is scary for the next 6 outs. So Carlton's path seems clear. As we go to the 8th inning, Lonnie Smith, Wilfong Lozinski. We're going to stick with Don Hood, as Lonnie Smith's better against righties, and Wilfong can't hit lefties very well. So Don Hood turns down a little bit with that rally over with. And we'll go to the top of the 8th inning. Lonnie Smith leading off. 5-10 off of Hood as catcher's card. Diaz, a 2E16 catcher, so you want to get the foul out, and they do. Wilfong, you could pinch hit for him because Mike Tyson is also a 2 defender. So yeah, Mike Tyson will bat for Wilfong in this situation. Wilfong's had a nice day. Mike Tyson's good against lefties with power, so he will bat. Mike Tyson, the pitch. 57 off Hood is short X. This is DeJesus, future Philly. A 2E38 at short. Makes the play. And with 2 outs, it is Lozinski. He's actually better against righties as well, so this will be the final batter for Hood. 64 off Hood is third X. Now this is bad. Oh, mediocre defense. Jerry Terrell at third base. 3E18 third baseman. And he makes the play. Inning is over. Do the Phils want to bring some defense in? They have one defender who's better, and that would be Gross. You could put him in to Lozinski's spot or Smith's spot. One of those spots. I guess we'll put him into Smith's spot, since I'd rather have a Lozinski homer than a Smith single late in the game. So there you go. Gross will be the left fielder as a 3. Lozinski goes to DH, and the Smith will leave the game. Bottom of the 8th inning, it's Steve Carlton. 7-6 game, as much defense is in as they can muster. He's got Diaz, McRae, and Alou in the 8th. The pitch to Bo Diaz. 2-8. Guess what that is, folks? It's a double. Yeah, saw that card. It's a double. And now you got Hal McRae. Well, not a lot you could do. Sit and spin. If you're... Do you take Carlton out? I mean, I suppose you could. Force them to bring... on the bench, they got Lyman Bostock. They got Richie Hebner. Some nice left-handed bats. You got Don Ossie. who is okay, but against lefties is not so much. And frankly, I think this is Carlton's game. If you follow the Fall League 2 years ago, folks, it's been a while. Steve Carlton pitched Game 7 of the World Series against the Red Sox. Phillies had a 1-run lead in the 8th. We left Carlton in, and he blew up, and Boston came back and won the game by scoring runs in the 8th inning. And we are right here with a much smaller stage. Carlton, let's try and learn from that mistake and don't blow the game in the 8th inning. So here is Hal McRae. The pitch to Hal. 1-8, let's take a look at the Hal McRae card. Doesn't matter lefty righty, folks. Homer 1-10 on 8, and he just misses it. Hits off the top of the wall for a 2-base hit. That scores Diaz. We have a tie game of 7. God. And Carlton's a starter 8. The tea leaves do not look good at all. Let's just see what this assault has been. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. I really am. And technically, I mean, the dude should have been yanked a long time ago. I can't just keep leaving this guy out here. The Phillies are more than Steve Carlton. There's 19 other guys on this roster who are trying to go to the playoffs. So we're going to get one of those guys in here. And his name's Don Ossie. Nice little acquisition. Was an Angel in 81. 4-4 with a 2.35 ERA in 65 innings. Pretty good against righties. Runner at second, nobody out in a 7-7 tie. J.L. Lou will come out of the game. And it'll be Pat Kelly will be the guy announced. They announce him instead of Bostic. They could always take Kelly out as a pinch hitter here. Ossie comes on in the 8th. Pat Kelly's being announced as a left fielder to replace left fielder J.L.O. Pat Kelly. Let's take a look at the Pat Kelly card since we're here. Played for Baltimore in 78. 274 with 11 homers and 274 at-bats. That's a lot of power. No defense, but nice little card here. The pitch to Pat Kelly. 38, Pat Kelly delivers the base hit in the left field. Hal McRae, a 14-runner. And the left fielder, it was a 0 arm, but Gross came in with a +1 arm. It's a 15. He's going to run on a 15. And he's thrown out on a 17. You got to be kidding me. Hal McRae is thrown out at the plate by Greg Gross, trying to give the Marlins the lead as they want to pull the upset. And he's thrown out. Oh, my. So Kelly is on at first with 1 out. He's a beast stealer. And you have Jerry Terrell up, and he's going to be taken out. They're going to go Richie Hebner. Let's take a look at Richie Hebner. Was a Philly in 78. 283 with 17 home runs. These former Phillies trying to haunt their, Bo Diaz, by the way. I forgot he was a Philly as well. Boy, these Marlins. They're really taking it to their future employer or former employer, depending on how you look at that. Runner at first, 1 out, Richie Hebner. And you got Sizemore. I think I'm just going to leave Ossie in here anyway, because the runner's at first. And I got another righty coming up. We want to get them to use all their guys off the bench before I go to McGraw anyway, or somebody besides Ossie. So Hebner will bat with Kelly at first. Kelly's a beast stealer, being held on, but he won't steal. The pitch to Richie Hebner. 58 off Ossie is second X. This is Tyson, a 2E19 at second base. But it's a cheap single off the 2. Second baseman, a single out off a 2. Gotta be kidding me. These Phillies are making every mistake in the book today, folks. 2 on, 1 out, and it's Ted Sizemore. Can they take him out? You could put Guerrero back in the infield. And they will. They're going to go Lyman Bostock. Empty the bench. Bostock. Oh, boy. Gosh, and yeah. This is not a Tug McGraw moment, particularly against the lefty. Phillies are between a rock and a hard place here. They just don't have the bullpen. They match up terribly against the Marlins. They have Rick Williams and Roy Thomas. Those guys, well, actually Roy Thomas might be a little bit better than Don Ossie. All right, they're going to go Roy Thomas. Ossie only got 1 out. They don't want to go McGraw. In theory, they need McGraw in the 9th inning, assuming they untie the game or get the lead. I mean, you know. So it'll be Roy Thomas in the 8th with just 1 out. A guy's thrown out the plate. There are runners at first and second. So it'll be Lyman Bostock. Let's take a look at him. He was an Angel in 78, 296. Nice little import here. 4 hits in this inning, only 1 run is scored. And runners at first and second off of Roy Thomas. The pitch to Lyman Bostock. 39 is a walk. Oh, the disaster continues. So, somehow this game is still tied, but the bases are loaded with 1 out and A bunting Ivan DeJesus. They'll bring the infield up for DeJesus. Let's take a look at him. 283 hitter for the Cubs in 79 in 695 plate appearances. Nice card for DeJesus. The infield's up. He's not going to squeeze. He'll hit away. The pitch to Ivan DeJesus. 46 off Roy Thomas is your triple 1-2 single ... That is a single ... 2-run singles, and the nightmare continues. The guy who ran for Al Luz scored. That's Kelly. The guy who batted for Jerry Terrell scored. That's Hebner. Bostock goes to third. DeJesus at first in a 9-7 game. Got to keep the infield up, and it's Jeff Leonard. 3-11 is a hit by the pitch. And your bases are loaded for Willie Montanez. Got to keep the infield up in the massacre. Not much you can do. And again, you can't bring in Tug McGraw. He gets lit up by lefties. And Montanez is better against lefties than righties. It's not a good day for the Phillies. Willie Montanez is your batter. Infield is up. They can still get a fielder's choice at the plate. 48 off Roy Thomas's ball 4. Walks and a run. That scores this guy. And the Florida Marlins have now sent 8 men to the plate. None of them have gotten out. They have a guy out on the bases. The bases are still loaded. It's a 10-7 game. It's Pedro Guerrero. And the infield is, you guessed it, still up. The pitch to Pedro Guerrero. 5-11. Short X. This is Boa. They will get the out at the plate. It's on the 1-10. They do. And now it's Bo Diaz. The pitch to Bo. 1-6 is a K. So, Carlton, Ossie, Thomas, and McGraw would have been worse. Nothing you can do when the Marlins got it rolling, and it's a 10-7 game in the 9th. Don Hood pitched 2 innings. He's coming out. And they'll go to a righty. Neil Allen will come in the 9th, trying to finish off the Phillies and get a split of the first 4 games and clinch the division for the Atlanta Braves. So Neil Allen will face Mike Schmidt in the 9th inning. Defensively, all the players who came in, Bostock goes into center, Hebner goes to third, Kelly goes to left. The second baseman will be Guerrero, who was in right. He goes from right field to second base, and the center fielder, Leonard, goes into right field, where Guerrero was. So you got Diaz catching, Montanez at first, Guerrero at second, Hebner at third, DeJesus at short. You got Kelly in left, Bostock in center, and Jeff Leonard in right. In the 9th inning, down 3, it's Mike Schmidt. Probable final at bat of a disappointing season for the Phillies, unless a miracle happens. Pitch to Mike Schmidt. 35 is ball 4. He also runs to second base as a B stealer without a throw. They got a big lead. They don't want to hold him on. So he's at second with nobody out. And it's Big McBride. 2-4, McBride grounds it to short. Runner at second for Gary Maddox. 1-5, another ground ball to short. And with 2 outs, it's Dan Meyer. 56 off Neil Allen's second X, but you got the bad defense of Guerrero. 40-34 at second base. It's a single dot off the Guerrero defense. Now, you started the game with a good second baseman, but you pulled him for the pinch hitter to give you runs, and now you just gave up a run because of your defense. So Meyer gets the RBI single. It's 10-8. Meyer goes to second base, as he's also a base stealer. It doesn't really matter because Boa wasn't going to hit and run or bunt anyway. So it's up to Larry Boa in a 10-8 game. He is the tie run. He actually did hit one of his 3 homers against right-handed pitching on the roll of 1-5, homer 1-2, double the rest. So that's what the Phillies are at right now. And here is what could be the end of the Phillies season. The pitch to Larry Boa. 45 off of Neil Allen is a fly ball to right field. And the Phil's season is over. Let's call it 79. I mean, as well as the Pirates are playing, as bad as the Phillies are, it's more like 79 than it is 80 or 81. Horrific pitching by the Phillies throughout this series, but you got to give props to the Marlins for hanging in there with their hitting. We'll do the box. We'll look at both teams here. Neil Allen does get a save in the 9th. A hit, a run, and a walk. Don Hood was pretty good. Yeah, here's where Philadelphia lost the game. They put 2 guys on, 3 up and 3 down. They loaded the bases for Schmidt. He gets out. Meanwhile, the Marlins have no problem continuing this inning, putting 8 straight guys on. Even had a guy thrown out the plate, and they still scored 4 runs. So no sympathy for the Phillies. They just blew this thing. Don Hood was perfect in relief for 2 innings. For the Marlins, nothing. Vern Rule, 5 2/3. He came in and just got the final out. A walk and an out and 2 hits and a walk. David Palmer. See, Hood gets the win. Palmer gets a no decision. 12 hits and 7 runs. Of course, these were unearned. They were earned. 4 of them were earned. No walks and 4 strikeouts. 8th inning. Oh my goodness. Roy Thomas came in and faced Lyman Bostock, the number 9 hitter. Gave up a walk. He gives up a hit, 3 walks, and a K, and a run. That's not good. And Ossie, he wasn't good either. Pitched to Pat Kelly and Richie Hebner. He gave up 2 singles, but magically he got an out when a guy got thrown out the plate. And everything else was Carlton, who had another nightmare in the 8th inning. 12 hits in 7 innings, 7 runs. Actually, he won't get the loss, or will he? You know what? He doesn't. The runner got thrown out the plate. That would have been the run charged to lefty. So I got to put this on these guys. These are the lead runs here, and that was Ossie. So Ossie has to take the loss. Carlton. Those 7 runs, though, all of that is earned. Walked 2, struck out 6. 1019, 0108. 1015, 815. 2457. Florida put more men on base. They were the better team today in a game 4. I'll have to play a game 5 to determine the winner of the series, but it's a moot point. I need to give you that answer. What we do know, and we'll look at the standings after we look at the box, is that game 5 is meaningless. The Atlanta Braves, by default, have won the National League East. And that is great news for them. We know that in 1982, Atlanta wins a division, and they got there a little sooner. Out of the National League West into the National League East is the ticket. So, a split of the first 4 games means that the Marlins are back to 15 and 16. hit .292 this year with a 5.08 ERA. Bergmeyer and Allen had 6 and 4 saves. Home runs, nothing really stands out. But the leading hitter, Ivan DeJesus, had 40 hits. My goodness. Lyman Bostock hit .330. Everybody really hit well for a .292 hitting team, but they had a losing record. None of the starting pitchers did particularly well. More importantly, let's look at the Phillies now. They are simply a 15-15 team, and they can't go to the playoffs as the 16-14 Braves do. The Phillies did hit .291 this year, but a 4.23 ERA. And when we look at it closely, it's not very good. This pitching was awful. So McGraw ended up with 4 saves, but an ERA of 4.5. And Lefty was 2-3. I mean, Steve Carlton goes 2-3. I don't know how you can expect the Phillies to do much. Mike Schmidt, I think it's all for naught. His failures in that game might mean that he loses the MVP to Willie Stargell now. He finished the year with 13 homers and 41 RBI in 30 games. Was 45 for 110. A .409 hitter. Plus he had 21 walks, so his on base is probably over 500. Hard to take an MVP away from him, but if the Pirates are running away with things, I think Stargell is going to end up with the trophy. And when we look at the standings, there it is, folks. The Braves do win this division now. There's only one game left. The best the Phillies can do is a half game back. They've already there's no tiebreaker involved. The Dodgers actually will be the 3 seed now, as they head-to-head have a better win the tiebreaker for the Braves. So the Braves stay at 4, and the Dodgers are at 3. And so in the playoffs, the Cubs, the 6th seed, will play the Dodgers, and Las Vegas will play Atlanta in the playoffs. In the National League, in the wild card round, with the Pirates and Portland getting the byes. National League's pretty wild and weird. American League's is close to chalk. You know, Yankees, Orioles, Kansas City, California, Milwaukee, and then a Cleveland Cinderella. National League is a little all over the place. No Phillies, they're not here. No Reds, they're not here. And even the Astros aren't here. So that's it tonight. I usually say congratulations at the end of this video, but I really can't. Other than to congratulate the Atlanta Braves for watching their TV and rooting on the Marlins, and the Marlins doing what they needed to do to knock the Phillies out. So there you are. Thanks for checking out the series, and we'll see you next time.